Thanks for joining us in the garden today. We are talking about, I'll just go the short route, DE, because I cannot pronounce this word for the life of me. Serves a great purpose, though, when it comes to some of the creepy, crawly things in your garden and your house.
This is called diatomaceous earth, and essentially it is a very dusty material that is fossilized algae. So those little diatoms, that's where the diatomaceous comes from, on that small scale, or to what is an insect, a big scale, they're sharp, and that crystalline structure is actually going to scratch your exoskeleton. They essentially desiccate, they dry out. So it is really great at controlling a number of small insects, everything from fleas, ants, small millipedes, centipedes, earwigs when they're young. Not as effective controlling some other insects in your garden. Okay, so is this something that you can also use inside of your house and some of those, different plants, pots? How do you use it? How safe is it to use around kids and pets? So it's safe in that it is not a chemical spray that you're spraying around. There's no residual period where, unlike some of your other sprays, I might say you have to stay out, or like a bug bomb, you have to clear out the whole house. It is very dusty, so when you're applying it, it's not a bad idea to have a dust mask, just to prevent you from inhaling that. It would be an irritant, but it does not have a toxicity to it. So for something you want to put down in your carpets, or at least along the wall of the house, where the baseboards, what I'm trying to say, that's a really good option. You can sweep away the excess, still be able to vacuum, reapply it, what have you. And that's a really good thing to try to do this time of year when fleas start making their way back inside the house, to keep them from getting a foothold. So is this something you could do in like the doorways so they can't even get into the house? Definitely. Excellent place in the doorways, like I said, along the baseboards, maybe under furniture you don't move often, but that's not super low to the ground. When it comes to using it outside, it is not going to be as effective when it gets wet. So a garden that is getting hit by constant sprinklers or really wet place in the gardens, it's not going to be as effective, but it is going to be effective in the areas you let dry. So pathways, underneath patios, what have you. Okay, so when I think about some of these bugs, especially inside my house, outside that's their home, inside that's my home. I don't want them in there. So my application method would probably just be take the bag, we're dumping it down. That's probably not the correct one. So how do people apply this product? You don't need enough that you can make sandcastles out of it. Easiest way is like I said, a light dusting. You got to think about the scale of an insect, where a little bit is going to do a lot of damage. A very targeted way to do this would be a duster. Essentially, you load this up and you're blowing tufts of air, kind of like the old school Looney Tunes, insecticide. And that's a really way to get it targeted and spread out on those tough reach corners. If you want to be more liberal, you can use shakers and apply as necessary where you need it. Okay, sounds good. Is there anything else that people need to know about DE, using it, what it's used for, why you'd want to use it? It, like I said, is a pretty good all-around component in the gardener's arsenal of weapons. It's not going to be the final, it's not going to work for everything and knock everything out, but it can be used in conjunction. So we've talked about trying to control slugs, snails, and earwigs. Using that slug and snail bait with the diatomaceous earth is a good 1-2 combo. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you. And if you want to learn more about DE, again, I will not try to pronounce it, but they can for you at Grange Co-op. So head into there, ask them questions about it if you have any problems with bugs, or you just want to prevent them ahead of this spring. And we'll see you next time back here in the garden.